Does red light therapy help with sleep? And if so, how and when should you use it? Let's find out. Okay, so this is quite a common question we get, and we did actually look into it in a blog a few years ago. Since then, there's actually been quite a few new studies published around light therapy or red light therapy and sleep health. So what I want to do is look at those studies and then provide you the key takeaways so you know exactly what you should or shouldn't do when it comes to red light therapy and optimizing your health. But before we do that, I just want to share some anecdotal reports. Now, I've heard stories of people using red light therapy right before bed as part of their pre-bed routine, right? And some people have actually reported that red light use right before bed had a negative impact on their sleep. I think what's happening is they were getting a bit too much of a stimulus effect, and it was literally just keeping them awake. Obviously, if that's the case for you, then yeah, it doesn't matter what the science says, I just wouldn't use it before bed. Other people, on the other hand, I know successfully use it as part of their pre-bed routine. Now, some people were doing a 5-10 minute session prior to bed. Other people use their panel as an ambient red light glow in the room, for instance. So you could use, say, a Biomax, drop the intensity right down to 1%, and just have that soft red light instead of your white light, for instance. And that is, of course, going to help from a melatonin, sleep cycle, circadian rhythm point of view. However, what I want to look at is whether the red light therapy, the dosage, can actually boost sleep. But like I said, experiment, see what works best for you. Okay, let's get into the science. So there's been a recently published study that looked at the use of 850 nanometer near-infrared light on people who were suffering some mood disorders. It wasn't specifically looking at sleep, but it was looking at general mood disorders, well-being, alertness, that sort of thing. Now, what they found is the participants that were exposed to the near-infrared light in the morning had improved markers when it came to mood, alertness during the day, and also a better resting heart rate. The dose was quite low though, and it was actually only beneficial during the winter months. Now, I know that's not really sleep, but it does indicate that, hey, it can help with general well-being. Another study looked at elite soccer players, and they were using an Overthor bed with 660 nanometers and 850 nanometer light. They also used an Oura ring to track their sleep. Now, the results of this study are quite fascinating. They found that the athletes' recovery time was better, but they were actually having less sleep and less light sleep. Their sleep duration was actually shorter. However, their recovery markers improved. So what's going on here? Well, it looks like the red light therapy is helping with recovery, restoration. But what's interesting is their sleep was actually shorter. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, for these players, I guess the ability to recover faster is all that matters, right? But it is an interesting study, and I will put links to these studies down below if you want to geek out on them yourself. A third study looked at red light therapy use on sleep, but also some cognitive functions. Now, one group used red light therapy, another group didn't, and this was ran for 1 week. Now, the outcome of this study found that those using the red light therapy had better cognitive performance markers, which is great, but more importantly, their sleep efficiency and their REM sleep markers improved. What does sleep efficiency mean? Well, it means how much quality sleep are you getting in your sleep time? So if you're asleep for, say, 7 hours, what is the quality of that sleep? Because as you and I both know, you can have a really good 7 hours of sleep, or you can have a really bad 7 hours of sleep. So this particular study is showing that red light therapy is improving sleep markers. Finally, we have a study that's 10 years old using 655 nanometer red light. Again, one group had it, the other group didn't, and they used this every night for 2 weeks. The red light was exposed across the entire body, so think a red light therapy bed or a quad Biomax setup like I use. And the results of this study, those that had red light therapy had an improved sleep score and also improved melatonin levels, which is pretty cool. So what's the takeaway here? Well, we've only looked at 4 studies. There isn't a ton of research on red light therapy and sleep. So I will be sure to do more videos on this as more studies come out. And I'll also include such studies in my monthly red light therapy news video. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified of them. But it does indicate that yes, red light therapy can help with sleep, and it's also going to have a great benefit when it comes to recovery and also mental performance and well-being. So what are the key takeaways for you? Well, it's kind of tricky because there isn't a lot of data out there. There isn't a lot of studies looking at wavelengths, dosing, time of day, duration, combination of wavelengths, power intensity. It really is something that you kind of need to experiment with yourself. And to do that is easy. If you have a panel, use it for say 5-10 minutes prior to bed. Do that for a week. See what happens to your Oura ring readiness score if you're tracking your sleep, for instance. If it gets better, great, run with it and then make some more tweaks. Maybe go a longer duration or a little bit shorter. maybe do it every second night, or maybe do it in the morning instead of the evening. Just experiment. And I know hearing that can be frustrating because you probably just want a clear cut, use it for 5 minutes at this time of the day, 3 times a week. But unfortunately, with the data we have, I can't give out recommendations like that. But I'm curious, what are your experiences when it comes to red light therapy use and sleep? Like I said earlier, I know a lot of people have reported that it has helped their sleep, but there is the odd exception, and some people have to use it early in the day to make sure it doesn't disrupt their sleep. Now, if you want to see something interesting, check out this video. In this video, I talk about how I stopped using red light therapy for a month, and then I brought it back in. Now, there were some quite interesting changes, including some changes to my Oura Ring data, in particular around resting heart rate. You can find out more by clicking here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.